Los Angeles was alive that evening, the streets bustling, neon signs flickering, the hum of the city forming a symphony of movement and sound. Keanu Reeves had just finished a quiet dinner at a small, family-owned Italian restaurant in West Hollywood. It was one of those places that didn't draw much attention, and that's exactly how Keanu liked it. As he stepped outside, adjusting the collar of his black blazer against the cool night air, his sharp eyes caught sight of a man sitting on the curb across the street. His clothes were tattered, his hair unkempt, and his face bore the weary expression of someone who had seen too many hard days. Keanu had always been attuned to the struggles of those less fortunate. Growing up, life hadn't been easy for him, and he had seen enough hardship to know that fate could be cruel. Without a second thought, he crossed the street. "Hey man," Keanu said gently, crouching down to the man's level. "You okay?" The homeless man blinked up at him, as if not believing his eyes. The Keanu Reeves was talking to him. He hesitated before nodding slowly. "Yeah, just trying to get through the night," the man mumbled, his voice hoarse. Keanu reached into his pocket, pulling out a few bills. "Here, grab yourself some food and a warm place to sleep." The man stared at the money but didn't take it. His eyes, filled with an odd mixture of gratitude and disbelief, focused on Keanu's face. Do I know you?" the man asked suddenly, squinting. Keanu hesitated. It wasn't the first time a stranger had recognized him, but something about the man's tone made him pause. "I mean, yeah, I guess. People recognize me sometimes," Keanu said with a small smile. The man shook his head. "No, not from the movies. I know you." Or, he faltered, swallowing hard. "I think my brother knew you." Keanu's heart skipped a beat. "Brother? Who's your brother?" Keanu asked, his voice suddenly quieter. The man ran a shaky hand through his greasy hair. Daniel Carter." Keanu felt as if the air had been sucked out of his lungs. Daniel Carter was a name he hadn't heard in 5 years, not since the night he had mysteriously disappeared. Keanu took a slow, measured breath, staring at the man in front of him. Now that he looked closer, he could see the resemblance. The shape of the jaw, the piercing blue eyes. Daniel Carter had been one of Keanu's closest friends. They had met on the set of a small indie film years ago, and had bonded instantly. Daniel was smart, funny, and endlessly kind. But life had pulled them in different directions, and one day, Daniel had simply vanished. No goodbye, no explanation. Keanu had searched for him, reaching out to mutual friends, even hiring a private investigator at one point. But there was nothing, no leads, no sightings. It was as if Daniel had disappeared off the face of the earth. And now, his brother was sitting here on a curb, homeless. Keanu's throat tightened. "You're Daniel's brother?" The man, who now seemed more alert, more aware, nodded. "Yeah. Name's James." He let out a bitter laugh. "Or at least, that's what I used to be called." Keanu sat down on the curb beside him. "What happened to Daniel?" James sighed, rubbing his face with both hands. "I wish I knew. He called me 5 years ago, said he had to disappear for a while. Said it was for his own safety. I begged him to tell me what was going on, but he wouldn't. That was the last time I ever heard his voice." Keanu exhaled slowly. That sounded like Daniel always trying to protect people, even if it meant shutting them out. "I tried to find him," Keanu admitted. "No one knew where he went." James nodded. "Yeah, well, me neither. After he disappeared, my life kinda fell apart. Lost my job. Got into some bad habits. Ended up out here." Keanu was quiet for a moment. He didn't believe in fate, but something about this felt like it was meant to happen. "Come on," Keanu said, standing up. "You're not spending another night on the street." James looked up at him, confused. "What?" "I'm taking you to a hotel," Keanu said, his tone firm. "A warm bed, a hot shower, some real food. We'll figure things out from there." James hesitated. "Why would you do that?" Keanu shrugged. "Because Daniel was my friend. And I think he'd want me to." For the first time, James' hardened expression softened. That night, after settling James into a 5-star hotel with clean clothes and a meal, Keanu made some calls. If Daniel was still alive, Keanu was going to find out. 2 days later, he had his answer. Daniel Carter was alive. And he wanted to see Keanu. The meeting took place at a private estate outside of Los Angeles. When Keanu walked through the doors, he saw him older, wearier, but alive. "Keanu," Daniel said, his voice filled with emotion. Keanu embraced him without hesitation. "You son of a bitch! Where the hell have you been?" Daniel sighed. "It's a long story. One I'll tell you soon. But first, James." Keanu nodded. "He's okay. He's safe." Daniel's eyes shone with relief. "I owe you for that." Keanu waved him off. "You don't owe me anything, man." Daniel smirked. "That's where you're wrong." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a check. Keanu's eyes widened as he read the amount. $1 million. "Daniel, what the hell?" Keanu muttered. Daniel chuckled. "I disappeared for a reason. I had to leave, but I made a lot of money in the process. More than I'll ever need. I'd always promised myself that if anyone ever helped my brother, really helped him, I'd give them a piece of what I made." Keanu shook his head, pushing the check back. "I didn't do this for money." "I know," Daniel said, pressing it back into Keanu's hands. "That's why you deserve it." Keanu sighed, staring at the check. Then, an idea formed in his mind. "Fine," he said, tucking it into his pocket. "But I'm using it to set up something for James. A second chance." Daniel grinned. "That's exactly what I hoped you'd say." A month later, James Carter was no longer homeless. Thanks to Keanu, he had a new home, a stable job, and a fresh start. Daniel reconnected with his brother, explaining everything: why he had disappeared, the risks involved, the secrets he had been forced to keep. It was a long road to repair their relationship, but at least now they had time. And as for Keanu Reeves, he never cashed the check. Instead, he used $1 million to start a foundation, a program designed to help homeless individuals get back on their feet. He named it after Daniel and James. Because some stories deserve a second chance.